I made a password that would take a hacker roughly 189 million years to crack. I don't even need to memorize it, and I'll show you how to make your own. I consistently get emails saying my information has been leaked due to company hacks. Now, I'm not paranoid, but I do wonder how effective my passwords actually are. I reuse passwords, even though I shouldn't, and one of those leaks could ruin my life. The issue with passwords is they are only ever as strong as the place they unlock. So, the most effective solution is to have a different password for every account or login. But practically, that is exhausting. Or at least in the way we view passwords right now. What if you could create a password so strong it seamlessly and effortlessly solves this problem altogether? This is the question I wanted to answer. I'll show you my solution along the way, and at the end of this video, I'll show you my password, and you still won't be able to crack it. I wanted to create a password that was so strong, a hacker could be staring right at it and still couldn't break it. And I did, using the same methods as the best security experts on the planet. The password I'm talking about is a password that makes passwords. But first, I need a rubric to know that whatever solution I come up with is actually a solution. There are 4 rules. 1, the password has to be difficult to guess. 2, the password has to be easy to recall. 3, it has to meet the common requirements of a password. And 4, the password needs to be secure, even in a data breach. This is a tough one. I need a password that can be leaked and still no one can break it. How, you might ask? Great question. Right now, if I ever need to create a new strong password, I have to summon some creative energy, while also assessing whether or not I will remember something later, which is all very dependent on me and rarely ever is consistent across multiple situations. But if I create a password that does that for me, it provides security on its own, consistency across passwords, and convenience for me. Now, I could use a password manager that generates and stores passwords for me. But with all of my different email accounts and devices, it's more convenient to have my password memorized so I can use it at any needed moment. So let's make a password. Say I need a password for Netflix. I'm going to create a rule. If Netflix is for work, then make the first letter uppercase and the rest lowercase. If it's for play, then make the first letter lowercase and the rest uppercase. Now, obviously this password isn't very secure. The next decision I have to make is choosing how complex I make my rule. Let's say I have 3 accounts with different passwords made from the same rule. If my system stays as is, it would take a maximum of 2 guesses to guess my password for any other account I have, and it wouldn't be difficult to figure out. But we are getting somewhere. The best option takes a simple input and outputs a complicated output, or at least what seems to be complicated. The easiest way I found to do this is to find things that I can always reference whenever I'm typing in the password. So if I'm on a login page, there's stuff I can reference. The brands, the colors, the number of words in the username. There's a lot going on. Maybe your rule is the number of words in the username box and then the color of the brand starting with a capital letter. And then to top it all off, you add that number again as an actual number and then hold shift and hit that number again for the symbol. And all you have to do is look at the login page to remember your rule. You don't have to memorize the password. The rule is the same, but it makes a unique password for every account you make. Testing it out against our rubric, is the password difficult to guess? It's complicated enough for people not to pay too much attention to it if they're scrounging around looking for easy hacks. But if somebody is specifically targeting me, they might be able to sense a pattern. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Next, is the password easy to recall? Well, all you have to do is count the number of words and no colors. So yes, but you do need to remember, did you think that was green or chartreuse? What do you have for multicolor options? So there is a bit of ambiguity. I will give it a 9 out of 10. Very easy to remember. Third, does the password meet password specifications? 9 out of 10. It's almost perfect, and yet the rule does allow for the password to be way longer than the requirements or way shorter than the requirements in special niche cases. Lastly, is my password secure even in a data breach? 3 out of 10. It would take an estimated 3 hours to crack my password. And also there are situations where a website might have the same login and the same color brand, and I have duplicate passwords, which totally contradicts the whole point of this video. But the principle behind this is sound. I just need to find methods that are more secure. Now, you might be wondering how you can make a password that's unbreakable even when the site that holds that password is breached. Well, when a hacker breaks into a site, they can download a file containing the login information of every account on that site, the username and the password associated with my and every other victim's password on display for all to see. Or at least that's what I thought happened. The reality is something much more genius. Most secure sites with logins don't actually store your password anywhere. This is intentionally designed this way so that even in a data breach, a hacker can't get access to your account. But then how does the site know your password when you log in for the second time? Well, what the hacker actually sees is your username or email and a really complicated set of numbers and letters. This is called a hash. When you create your account for the first time, you write your password and you submit it to the site, and the site puts it into something called a hash function, which essentially turns your password into a number and then puts it through a whole really complex math problem and then spits something else out. That something else is the hash. This hash gives hackers no clue as to what your original password was. It has the same number of characters as every other hash, regardless of how long your password was. Here's an example. If you type in password all lowercase, you'll get one hash. But if you type password and put an uppercase letter in it, you'll get an entirely different hash that corresponds not at all to the first hash. So what the site actually stores is the hash next to your name. And the next time you log in, when you type in your password, the site does the whole hash function again and checks if the hash it spits out is the same as the hash associated with your account. If it is, you're in. Hashes are seemingly great because they turn your passwords into something that is a far better password. But the real genius of hash functions is the math problem in them is so complex, even if hackers know the problem, they can't reverse the hash to find your password. It's like if you took that password and put it in a really precise and complex blender and then pour out the hash smoothie. Even if someone tastes the smoothie and knows what the blender is, they can't turn that smoothie back into the password. The point is, a hacker can't break a hash by reverse engineering it. They need to know the password that makes the hash before they can break in. So if that's true, why do we need to worry about passwords at all? If they can't reverse the hash, what else could they do? Well, actually, I just said the hacker's strategy. They need to know the password that makes the hash before they can break in. One hacker's method is to try as many passwords as possible until they make a hash that matches your account. They're throwing anything and everything they can find until they get a match. But you may have already guessed the problem. I get locked out of my account all the time for typing in too many incorrect passwords, and I'm the one who's supposed to know my passwords. How are hackers going to break into an account if they can only give 5 tries every 30 minutes? Well, the hackers actually combat the genius of the hash function with their own genius. All they have to do is get their hands on the duplicate hash function, and instead of running it on the site where they can get locked out, they can run it on their own personal program, trying it as much as they want all day and all night. One thing they can try with this method is brute force every password from A to Z. Let me put that into perspective. When typing in just one character of the new password, I have 26 options from A to Z. But I also have the capital letters of all of those options, so that doubles my amount to 52. I also have 10 digits 0 through 9, 62. Then I have the special characters. Let's assume I have 32 special characters. So if I only have a 1-character password, it would take a hacker 94 guesses to guess it. Adding a second keystroke multiplies it exponentially. It becomes 94 squared. Adding a third makes it 94 cubed, and so on. This is why longer passwords are objectively better. By the time you get to a password length of 6, that's over 680 billion different password possibilities. Trying one password a second would take you 21,000 years and change. But if you are able to do it, it's important to know that you would have cracked every password that was 6 characters or shorter. And that is a strategy that many hackers use. Obviously, it doesn't take them 21,000 years. They use a beefy computer that can do way more than one guess a second. I want you to guess how long you think it would take to try all 680 billion of the 6-character password on a somewhat decent computer. Would it take 10 years? 10 months? 10 days? Less than 10 seconds. If a site isn't using one of the newest hash functions, you'd be able to guess around 80 billion guesses a second. A password length of 6 takes around 8.6 seconds to guess every option. And a length of 8, the minimum for most passwords, takes just 21 hours. It doesn't matter how creative my password is, a hacker can just break it by guessing every option. That's why my unbreakable password method needs to be the maximum length it can be. And as you can see, as I get closer to the 12-character password, the hacker's task becomes impossible. So I'm making a rule that every one of my passwords has to be 12 characters long, even if the data is breached. And even if every hacker on the planet is staring at my password, they would never have enough time to crack it. Now, there is a caveat. There's a file that exists that's called rocku.txt. It includes millions of passwords. It started when the website Rocku was hacked, and to the hackers' delight, they found that all the passwords were stored as is, with no hash, ripe for the picking. The list has been added to over the years from other data breaches, totaling in 14 million plus passwords. So even if my password is 12 characters long, if someone else has used it, it's as weak as a 1-character password. Even if someone used a password that was 1 or 2 characters off from mine, the rocku file gives the computer a lead, and it can manipulate all the passwords it knows to try and see if there are any edge cases or people who weren't really that original. So another good criteria check for number 4 on the rubric is it totally implausible that someone else came up with the same or similar password? If yes, we have made a truly unbreakable password. So now that we know about hash functions, I promise there was a point to all of this. I'm going to give you a template that you can build passwords out of based out of this principle. And then you can build your own passwords from there. Don't just copy this template because then everybody will know your passwords and that's really dumb. But be inspired by this and make some really difficult passwords. This password is built around the US QWERTY keyboard and it always has 12 characters. I call it the mirror shift. Step 1, the frame. Take the first 4 letters of the company name. If the name is shorter than 4 letters, loop it until you have 4 letters. Mirror each letter across its keyboard row. So Q would be P, A would be L, Z would be M. Step 2, the shift. For the next 4 letters, go back to the same original 4 letters and move each 1 key to the right. If you hit the end of the row, like P, L, or M, wrap around to the far left of that same row, so Q, A, or Z. Step 3, the vowel trigger. Anytime there's a vowel in any of those 8 letters, capitalize the letter immediately following it. If there are no vowels, just capitalize the 8th letter. Step 4, the tail, the 4 final characters. In the 9th position, just put the number of vowels as a number. For the 10th position, put the number of lowercase letters that follow the last uppercase letter. Position 11 and 12 are fixed characters. They don't change. They are the $sign and the exclamation point. Now let's test this password against the rubric. Difficult to guess? 10 out of 10. There's no way someone's just guessing that password. Easy to recall? 8 out of 10. It takes about 30 seconds to encode and it'll take about 30 seconds to decode. That may be too long, but I'm pretty happy with 30 seconds as a password rule. Meets common requirements? 10 out of 10. It's always 12 characters, there's uppercase and lowercase, numbers and symbols. Secure in a data breach? 10 out of 10. If the hash associated to this password is leaked, it's going to take 189 million years to crack it. Now, I do realize that by making this video, I'm inviting all kinds of bad attention from people who are bad actors who are looking to ruin my life. But I have a compromise for you. Here are 8 passwords that I generated from an entirely different rule that I encoded. Each password took about 40 seconds to encode. If you can figure out the rule just from looking at the outputs, comment your guess below and I'll like the first correct comment. Have fun and get to cracking my password. Or don't and just make your own passwords and everybody has a good life. Okay, bye.